Hi, my name's Tom Karen, and I'm a game developer out of Boston. And this is Crystal Champions.
Crystal Champions is a competitive game where 2 to 4 players battle it out to destroy each other's crystals. This is a game geared for high school, college age and above players who enjoy games that promote conflict. It's also for players who want a D&D-like experience, but don't want to take the time to learn a ton of the rules. Right now, it's in the development stage, and what you see in this video is a paper prototype using royalty-free stock art. Now that the core gameplay elements have been locked down, I'm looking for an artist to create assets in advance of FIG. The game takes between 15 and 60 minutes to play, depending on how aggressive players are. Each game is set up by creating an island composed of random biome tiles. Each player starts at their base, which houses their crystal. If an opposing player makes it to your base, they can destroy your crystal and take you out of the game. You can protect your crystal by exploring the biomes to collect resources that can be used to build stronger and stronger bases. Each biome offers one type of resource, and the quality of the resources found scales with the difficulty level of the biomes. At the beginning of each game, each player can swap 2 biome tiles anywhere they want on the island. This can be done to ensure fairness and availability of resources, or to attempt to screw over other players. Once tiles are swapped, they can't be swapped back. It's also worth noting that the game board can be arranged for 3 players or 2 players. Now let's take a look at what a typical player turn might look like. On their turn, each player can move forwards, backwards, diagonally, or even opt to stay on the square that they're on. If a player's in their base, nothing happens, but if they move to a biome, they need to draw a card. In this case, the yellow players move to the desert biome and draws a desert card. Looks like this player has found some resources. You might find taming food. Taming food is useful in case you encounter wild animals in each biome. Each animal can be tamed by a food from another biome. If you encounter an animal and don't have the proper taming food, you're going to have to fight that animal. Fighting is accomplished by rolling a die and trying to beat the base defense value of the animal. If you win, you get resources. Each biome also has feral animals. These animals require higher die rolls to defeat, and if your main character gets defeated by any animal, they go back to the base. It's also worth noting that feral animals cannot be tamed. It's very rare, but you might find a companion in each biome. If your main character finds a companion, they'll join your tribe. If a companion finds another companion, they have to fight. Each companion has special powers. In order to destroy your base, an opponent needs only roll higher than a 2 if it's unprotected. However, by protecting it with higher and higher tiered material, you can make it harder, requiring higher dice rolls to break in. You'll have a hard time gathering the materials you need to protect your base if your player isn't protected. You can spend some of the materials that you gather to build weapons, armor, and tools that will help your player and your companions stay alive. Each player and companion can be equipped with armor that will increase the die roll needed to defeat that character, as well as a weapon that will actually lower their requirement against others. In addition, they can be equipped with tools that will allow increased resource harvesting and battering rams that will make it easier to attack bases. If you encounter an animal in a biome and you have the proper taming food, you can trade in that taming food and the animal will follow you around. Animals grant players and companions special powers. While gearing up your player is fun, you have to keep in mind that protecting your base is priority 1. If an opposing player destroys your crystal, not only are you and all your companions immediately out of the game, that player takes all the resources that you've accumulated. Crystal Champions is at its core a rule set. Players are given a goal, destroy each other's crystals, and a few guiding rules to help them around combat and what it costs to build things. But it's largely up to the player to determine how they want to experience the game. They'll have to deal with a randomized island and make do with the resources they have at hand. There's also an element of an arms race to the game. Players are encouraged to gear up quickly and balance protecting their crystal, their players, and being aggressive. Moreover, players can choose how they want to gear up. Some players may choose to explore the safer biomes first that offer lower tier materials that provide lower benefits, whereas some may want to take the larger risks going for the harder biomes. Some players may want to focus on weapons, some may want to go for armor. Still others may want to go for tames. Some experienced players realize that they can combine companion skills with tamed animal skills and tools to provide super builds. For example, a harvester gets 2 materials per turn, whereas the normal player only gets 1. A harvester combined with a giant scorpion, which gives another extra material per turn, and metal tools, which give 2 extra materials per turn, can turn into a resource harvesting machine. Another interesting aspect of the game is player board placement. You'll notice the red player in the video is steadily getting closer to the yellow player's base. The yellow player now has a decision to make. He can attack the red player, stay in the base to defend it, or try to get some materials to either build up the base or build weapons. It looks like the yellow player has decided to go on the offensive. Player versus player combat in Crystal Champions is done by looking at the defender's armor against the attacker's weapon. A die roll to beat is determined, and then the die is rolled. If that number is beaten, the attacker wins. If that number is not beaten, then the defender gets to roll against the attacker's armor, taking into account the defender's weapon. This goes on until a winner is determined. In player versus animal combat in the biomes, an opposing player rolls for the animal. It looks like the red player was defeated. Unfortunately, that was the only player that red had on the board, so they're unable to defend their crystal effectively out of the game. Interesting reversals happen in this game. For example, the green player is significantly built up, having high-tier weapons and armor. But now the yellow player has found a companion. That yellow player effectively has 2 players and can now take the offensive to the others.
Imagine that you wake up to find that you've been transported to a mysterious island, and that an alien-like crystal has enslaved you and forced you to fight for it. That's the premise of Crystal Champions. It's a game that I've shown at Playcrafting and the Game Makers Guild in Boston, and it's been relatively well received. The rule set is for the most part tied down, and I'd really like to get this into FIG to get this exposed to more people, playtest it a little bit more, and start looking for publishers and potentially look at doing a Kickstarter. It would mean a lot to show this game at FIG. Having attended FIG several times and been working in the games community in Boston, I'd very much love to get my creation out there and just to see the smiles on people's faces as they play it, as I've seen in the past. So thank you for considering me, and I hope to hear from you soon.